Morning, Darren. First of all, can I get your thoughts? I mean, there's been a few changes of managers around the bottom end of the Championship in recent weeks, but can I get your thoughts on Stoke and Alex Neil parting ways?
Yeah, obviously it's never not nice to see a managerial sort of counterpart lose their position. But we understand it's the industry that we work in. We understand it's the industry that we serve, and we understand in terms of the results in business where it's from. What the perspectives are at Stoke for Alex this season, I don't know, but no, it's always sad to see somebody leave their role and position.
For you, a fourth game without a defeat at the weekend, but three of those have been draws. What's your assessment on things at the moment?
Yeah, the assessment for me and the group of players is that when we first came in, we felt in terms of getting to understand and know the squad, know individuals within the squad. There was a process going on there. We had to deal with our fair share of injuries like anybody else, which disjointed the team. And yeah, we felt in a position that we were forced to do things that we might not have done, but we had to do. But it's the adaptability that this game can serve, which we did and which we have done. And by doing that, has seen us maintain and stay in games longer, cause more of a threat to the opposition longer. And that's why those performances have turned into draws. You've got to picked up a win in there, but there's draws. But what's happening with the team is we've shown a lot more solidity to where we was probably 5 or 6 weeks ago. So the aim for us is to continue along that process, but we want to turn those draws into wins, really. So the team's moving in the right direction, and we need to continue to do so.
And it must be encouraging for you as well. The Championship's always tight, but when you look at the bottom half of the table, it is particularly tight at the moment. And if you can change those draws into wins, you'll be shooting up the table pretty quickly.
And that's where we are really at the moment in terms of, a couple of back-to-back wins, and you can see you right up into the mid-table really, because that's been the Championship for season after season. And it's going to be no different to this season in terms of everybody will take points off one another throughout the season. It's proven that way again. It's a tight division from top to bottom. Really, it's a tight division, and it shows the competitive nature of the division. Here at Huddersfield Town, we're just focusing on us, and we spoke earlier about the 4-game run we've been on. We know we have got a lot of work ahead of us, and we continue to build on those performances, and if we can continue to build on those performances, we'll see the right results and continue to climb the league.
It's been a while since you won at home. How concerning is that for you? And changing that needs to come quickly.
Any team, home team, wants their home form to be absolutely spot on. And every opportunity we play a game, it's an opportunity to try and win a game. And the opportunity will try and come again tomorrow, which we'll prepare for over these next 24 hours again, and try and look to build on the performances that we set on Saturday, with another tough game tomorrow night against another team that has started the season really, really strongly and really well. Probably been getting one or two indifferent results. But in terms of where both teams are at, it bodes well again for another good game tomorrow night.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on the opposition tomorrow night, Preston? You alluded to it there, that they did have an excellent start to the season, but over the last few weeks they have hit a rocky patch.
Yeah, and I think they'll probably feel that in terms of over the last few weeks, results-wise, they've probably not been at what they probably feel they should have been at, because probably the results would have suggested that. And probably the expectations from them having started the season so well is probably on a different scale to where we're at. But still, you got to look at. We don't look at the past form guide. We just look at both teams are coming head to head tomorrow night. So we know we have to be prepared as we always done, and we'll do. and we've got to make sure that tomorrow that we need to perform. It's as simple as that, really, in terms of that, and continue to look at us selfishly as Huddersfield Town Football Club going forward. So it's another tough game, but it's another game that we're looking forward to.
Finally, a Sky question on transfers. Obviously, it's December, we're in the festive period, it's one of the busiest periods of the year, but also the January transfer window is on the horizon. How do you balance that as a manager in keeping your focus on the fixtures and the busy period, and also having that eye on the transfer market as well, and what you're looking to do in January?
Yeah, I think it's something that I think naturally you do when you've been in this position, in terms of making sure that you're looking at the here and now, which is the game, and then after that, the opportunities throughout the day, throughout the week presents itself. In all honesty, the phone doesn't stop, whether the game's coming or not. The phone's on now. It's 24/7 now, and it will be continued throughout in January. And it's something that you just got to deal with. So it's what calls you're able to take now before training, and what calls you take afterwards and throughout the day. But we feel here we've got a strategy in terms of dealing with those. As I said, we've got a fantastic sporting director here, fantastic head of recruitment here, in terms of dealing with those footballing matters. So there's a structure in place, and when those calls are coming, and those conversations need having, they are being had.
Thanks, Darren.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go on to Zoom next. Jack from BBC Radio Leeds. Morning, Jack.
Hi, Darren. Good to speak with you.
Hi, Jack.
I'll just touch on injuries first of all. I know you've got a fair few long-term out. Are you expecting anyone back tomorrow? I know you mentioned Ben Jackson's might not have been as serious as.
Yeah, I think with Jacko, it's just maintaining and seeing where he's at going forward. But we don't anticipate him tomorrow, even though he's not far away really. But we don't anticipate him tomorrow. Obviously, we got Sorba Thomas back, which is great to add to the group. And before this training session today, because you've caught me before, we've just got to assess the group. So we'll see where the group is later on today.
You mentioned Sorba there. How much of a boost is it to have him back and in that attacking line? He's shown many a time in this league that he's one of the top players on his day.
Yeah, no, to have Sorba back, he's shown probably a level of consistency to his game since we've arrived at the football club, and led by example really in terms of that. So to have somebody of his calibre back, having served a one-game suspension, it's a welcome boost for us, because what we want is fit and able bodies available to deal with the schedule that we've got ahead of us coming up, and Sorba coming back off his suspension helps us to do that.
I know you've spoken before about the injuries you've got all over the field, but particularly sort of in attack. Is it one of your biggest frustrations that you're not able to sort of get a consistent attacking group, and that you are at times chopping and changing due to injuries and the suspensions?
Yeah, and I suppose that's been part of the challenge for us really, in terms of that. Obviously, when we arrived, we didn't want the injury concerns that we did have at the time. I think we had 11 on the treatment table at any one stage. So that was always a difficulty. And what we did on Saturday was, we had Dell and Wardy play together for the first time since September the 2nd, I think it was. I mean, it's incredible when you think of that, really. So, and them two came together for the first time then. So it gets you understand the magnitude in terms of what we've been dealing with and what we've had to deal with, and full credit to the players in terms of how they've gone about it. They really have done magnificently, and that's one thing what I've always alluded to with this group of players is their honesty and their temperament, their desire has been second to none, and it encourages myself and the coaching staff to work with them on a daily basis. And now we're getting one or two back off the treatment table and getting back in the squad. It just allows us to go at probably a different dimension, different dynamics with the team, because individuals coming back allows us to do that. So that's always a welcome boost.
On Danny Ward, you mentioned there, he's obviously back in the squad now, started the last couple of games. What's it like working with him? Again, someone who's so experienced in this league, has been around many a year in the Championship.
Good experienced pro, good career that he's had to date. Can only help you in the situation that you're in. To have him back of his magnitude, ilk, experience, know-how. So to have him back, we welcome him back. And the more minutes he plays, the more he'll get fitter, stronger, and be even more dynamic with his movement. So to have him back in, it's a welcome boost to the team.
Top two, you mentioned him and Delano. Certainly from the outside, Darren, they seem like almost opposite personalities in the way they are. How do you go about managing that? And does that almost complement each other when you've got someone like Danny who is that experienced head and someone like Delano who, he doesn't seem to stop talking when he's on there? Yeah,
no, and they've both got different attributes, as you can see, really. And those attributes can be a pain for the opponents, defenders, really, in terms of how they both go about their game. And they both carry a threat in a different way, but at the same time can complement each other as well, really, which is a wonderful dynamic to have. It's just understanding their strengths and weaknesses, and us as a team, and even though they're in a team, is getting the ball in those right areas, because we feel if we can get the balls in those right areas, we feel we got two there that can score goals and have proven to score goals. So to have them two back, as I said, with the other one or two different attacking options we got, it's what we want, and it's what we need, and it's what we will probably hopefully get during this Christmas period.
I guess naturally in the situation you're in with the injuries, does it soften the blow somewhat that you're able to give a lot of the younger players a chance, be that on the pitch or even just on the bench? You have Michael Stone in the matchday squad for the first time at the weekend, especially as a manager like yourself who has got a lot of experience working in the 23s and the academies.
And that's what we do. We've got them quite close to us here, so it gives you an opportunity. And the BT manager, John Worthington, we have daily meetings on the development of the younger kids coming through. And they've been almost fast-tracked into what the first team environment, and they've been on the bench and that, but they've been training in and around the first team and continue to do so. And I think it's important for them to add volume to them, speed of thought, the passes, the options, the decisions they're making. That, there's passes and decisions on that they play in the academy that are first team levels where the players are more stronger, quicker, that those passing options and opportunities to score goals or defending are not there, really. So what happens is the learning mental cycle of it goes up a level, which encourages the performance and the potential they have to go to that next level. So to have them in and around us and getting that first team experience, whether they're starting or come off on the pitch or just involved in the team from the subs bench, and Stoney to name one but a few, is excellent for us.
How much personal pride do you get when you're able to give players those opportunities? Because they'll obviously never forget that first chance, that first time on the bench, that first time warming up with the side.
Yeah, and you want to give young players the opportunity. And as a manager, certainly over my managerial career today, I've not been afraid to throw young players in, because if I feel that they're right and they can go with it and contribute to the team, I feel it's right. That's how we treat them in training. We treat them as one of the first teamers. I'll talk no different to a Danny Ward than I will to a Stoney. So, and I think that's right, or Josh Osterfield, or Brahima, whatever it may be, it's the same really right the way through, because I think it's important for their development, and they understand the importance of those when they step up in the first team.
A slightly different point. You mentioned briefly after Saturday, Chris Maxwell's performance. Again, one of the standouts for your side. How tough a call is it to make when you've got him performing so well, but on paper you've got your number one Lee Nichols, who's also back available?
I think it's an added bonus for me, as and any manager will say, when you got a squad and group of players, you want all of them performing to the best of their ability. We had a situation where unfortunately Lee picked up an injury after the whole game, and just wasn't able to continue playing for the first team. So he needed some time off to get that injury right. The injury's now right, but in that time, Maxie's performed wonderful. So to have Maxie in the position that he was in, I think it would have been a bit unjust really to bring it. And Lee's been really, really so supportive and excellent. And we feel we got two goalkeepers here that are challenging each other, pushing each other. And no matter which one's in goal, the other one's showing that level of support, which is excellent really in terms of that. So whereas it was Maxie showing Lee Nichols that support at the start of the season, now unforeseen injury happened to Lee and Maxie stepped in, but again you saw his worth at the weekend. Really produced some wonderful saves and some real sharp reflex saves. That was the ones, you know, shots were hit at him from a real tight close angle with force and ferocity, but he was really ready to perform for the team, and he did that really. So credit to him, but also credit to Lee as well, because since he's come back, he's been superb as well.
They're obviously both experienced pros, but is it an interesting sort of relationship to have to manage in a way, because it's unique, isn't it, the goalkeeping position, unlike any other where you can't play them both.
Yeah, they're exceptional men. First and foremost, they're exceptional men. I think the real quality of level of both of them as men is testament to the both of them. So that's first and foremost. And then as goalkeepers, they'll probably say that they've got probably different strengths and weaknesses to each other. But one thing what I see with them in terms of the relationship, they're both excellent, and they're really, really top guys with each other and very, very respectful of each other, because they understand what each other's going through. And I think that's the beautiful thing for it, that the both of them, because they know if Maxie's been playing, Lee knows what he's going through. When Lee was playing, Maxie knows what he's going through, because, as he said, they're both real experienced. You've not got one what's so much older or so much younger. They're both respectful and for one another. So as long as that continues, it's good for Huddersfield Town Football Club, and long may it continue, the relationship with both of them.
And just final one from me, just on Preston, I know it was mentioned earlier, sort of the rocky-ish run that they're on at the minute. Does that almost make them more vulnerable or more unpredictable in the way that they're going to come out? Yeah,
I don't think you can ever go football. You know, we all try and work this industry out, and even when we're trying to work it out, it still goes. It takes a turn, and so I think that's the wrongful thing to say. Yes, they're probably looking at their results and probably feel that their results ain't probably been where they'd want it. We've been looking at our results and probably feel that our results ain't been where we've wanted, but we continue to work to see that. So we got both teams really looking for going head to head, always looking for a result tomorrow night. So for me, the form guide goes out the window really. It's just the here and now that we prepare for.
Thanks, Darren. Best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Jack. We'll come back into the room for a second with Stephen from We Are Terriers.
Hi Darren, you sort of touched on it already, but with Sorba back, you've probably got better attacking options now than you've had since you've arrived here. That must be very encouraging for you.
Yeah, I'd say so, Steve. And as I said, I alluded to before where, the injuries kind of kept those certain individuals out. So to have them back collectively as a group, it's always a welcome boost. Sorba served the suspension, so he's available now, which from an attacking option is a nice one to have.
The bench obviously has looked quite light, understandably, over the past few weeks. There's a bit of a lack of game changers perhaps at the weekend, but does having those players back now mean that you can bring some more players onto that bench and look at that last 30 minutes of games a bit more positively?
Yeah, exactly, Steve. And I don't want to sort of bottle the substitutions that have been on the bench, no, because I can understand the thought process with looking at the bench and probably not seeing the household names that you'd want to see coming off the bench. But it's where we've been at, and credit to those younger players that have had to stand in and hold the fort really in terms of where we've been not having the options available to do that. So when these players are starting to come back off the table, your Ben Wiles, your Sorba Thomases, to add to the group, your Danny Wards. It helps because it just means that it's challenging the 11 players that's already starting, but also it's a knock-on effect that if they are coming back in, then from the subs bench, that if should we need to make changes, then we can.
You did up the possession as well on Saturday. You were able to have more of the ball, but you could see there's still work to be done there. It could be really important, couldn't it, to have that central midfielder who can, help you retain the ball a bit more and get the players into those habits.
Yeah, and you're spot on, Steve, that our possessional stats were up at the weekend compared to where they've been at before. So that was added, because in terms of us sort of turning it and winning games, that part of the game as well, we're looking to improve and want to improve. And again, it was significant again with some of the work we did last week to help that, those bits and pieces, but also as well, it's helped as well with one or two sort of returning from the off the treatment table, because you've been able to have sort of round pegs in round holes. So it helps that the balance of the team, there's more of a fluidity and a balance to the team. So we continue to work on that, and we need to work on that. So we by any way, shape or means the finished article. What we are doing is continuing to work on it. We've addressed in terms of where we are as a team and the club, and we continue to work going forward. And that what whets our appetite every week, that to know that you can't stand still. You need to continue work, and that's where we've been at, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Is it just a sort of gradual process of getting players into different habits, perhaps?
Yeah, and also there's been players playing probably not their first primary position really, and doing a job for the team. So you probably not got them at their most strongest, where they'd probably feel a position that they feel that's them and they want to play in that position. But they've been understanding that for the dynamics of the team, they're having to play in a certain different position. So to get those bodies back and playing in their rightful position helps, and that helps with the possessional stats, and that's helped at the weekend. I thought there was some wonderful passage of play that we had at the weekend, and could have been more threatening in areas. But again, if we're getting into those areas more regularly, then players will make more better decisions when they get into those positions. So again, it's something to continue to work on. It's something to look back on and build on that and keep getting stronger in those areas.
So for me, best luck.
Thanks, Steve. We'll come to Zoom again. Stuart Raynor from the Yorkshire Post. Good morning.
Morning, Darren. How are you?
You okay, Stu?
Yes, good, thank you. Good to see you. I just wondered if you could expand a bit more on what you said earlier about the situation with injuries and what have you has forced you to do things you wouldn't normally wanted to do.
Yeah, so we've had to play players, Stu, in positions that they probably wouldn't. So, everybody said to me when Reg, played in midfield, he had to play that role in midfield. We had to play probably a lone striker up top of the pitch. We probably had to play people in wide positions that you wouldn't associate, and people probably in wing-back positions that you probably wouldn't associate that you'd be playing there. So we've had to sort of chop and change it around, make a so-called change in goalkeeping, where everybody associated Lee being number one and Max's had to step in. But what's happening with the group and the dynamics is that the group have continued to fight tooth and nail for the football club and shown a real desire, and hopefully that's been reciprocated and received certainly by the fans. Us in our fan group, when we had probably 13, 14 players for the Watford game, in terms of when we got a draw, and I heard the whole stadium get right behind the team because they understood the dynamics where we was at. So there's been times this season where it's been hard, and listen, everybody's suffered the injuries. I'm only talking about us, Stu, as a sole entity, because that's where my care lies. But hopefully, certainly coming into this Christmas period with the busy run of games and fixtures, we just want bodies back, so the team can make those different changes if need be, get that added cover if need be, but most importantly, get a more of a balance and a more fluidity to the team, and that's been the most important thing, really. And you know, with me, Stu, I like the training ground and having the players available, because that's where the relationships are built. That's where the understanding comes for the games, and that's where the competitive nature. We want them on the training ground and out the treatment room. And the guys in the medical room have done a fantastic job and continue to do it, because they've been stretched. My goodness, have they been stretched? But they're working tirelessly to get us the bodies back. So to add to the team in terms of where they are. So when I talk about that, I'm going in depth really in terms of not having those players available have probably forced our hand a little bit in terms of what we've had to do with the team, because we've not been able to maintain certain aspects and formations with the team because of those lack of bodies really, and going with what's been available.
And has it maybe had an impact on the mindset as well, in that you've maybe not been able to be quite as positive as you'd like to be in certain games without so many game changes on the bench, with your attacking options restricted? Has it been a bit of a case in some games of just grinding things out and not maybe playing quite the level of football that you want to get to in future?
I think that's fair to say, Stuart. Really, in terms of, yeah. I'm very honest with the dynamics, and you're very spot on in terms of what's gone on thus far. Because when you look at where the team was at and what we had available at the time, it's probably self-explanatory really in terms of what it is. So in terms of us working there, that's been what we've done, and that's why I give the players full credit and praise. And there's a couple of games where we had to make changes 24 hours. We've worked all week and prepared, and we've had injuries or illness 24 hours prior to a game. And I suppose these are the unforeseen hurdles that you've had to deal with. And hopefully we won't have too many unforeseen hurdles today, because still, as I talk now and address all our fans and everybody, we still got a training session to go today. So hopefully everything will be fine today, and we'll have a clean bill of health for the game tomorrow again.
And do you think, because of the contrast Jack was highlighting between Dell and now you've got Danny Ward back, there's just a scope to be a bit more unpredictable because you've got more options in terms of how you attack opposition?
That's correct. True. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Really, there's no real there's no part for me to dress it up or dress it down. Having those two attackers back at the time when we lost Kyle Hudlin and at the time we've lost Kian was vital really. So they're both well added acquisitions back into the team, especially losing those two, because at one stage we had Wardy and Dell out, we had Kian as a one sole striker, and then we had Kyle as a one sole striker. So and then we've had to deputise and use Sorba up top, and we've had to use Josh Koroma up top, and so there's been different dynamics to the team, and credit to the team the way they've gone about it, and that's all I can say to them. But we continue to work together as a group. We work together on our mindset, the culture at the football club, and making sure that when we get to the competitive edge, which is the games, that they're giving everything for the football club, and we've definitely seen that.
And just one more on Michael Stone. What is it that has earned him this opportunity? What is it that he brings to the squad?
He's got an incredible desire and temperament and a self-confidence, and can't do enough. And what I like with him is he puts others first before himself. And what I like with him is he's prepared to do the hard yards in terms of his background and where he's got to. And so he's got a wonderful story in terms of now he's here in the round, and he's been part of the first team, but he continues to be part of the first team and been training. But he's got a real great energy about him. He's got a pass in him. He's happy to break play up and offload the ball. And then once he's done one action and movement, he follows it up with a secondary one. So he'll go and, you know, break play up, distribute the ball, but go and join in for the next phase in terms of if he's setting an attack off, he wants to get on the end of it as well, really. So that for any youngster to show that desire and temperament. And the biggest thing for him, Stoney, is stepping into the first team and the seniors respect him for the person he is and then the player, really. And when you see him just gel into the group as instantly as that and they take him on the shoulders one of their own, it's a wonderful attribute to have as an individual, really. And he's definitely got that, and we've welcomed him in with open arms. So I had no hesitation in including him in the team on Saturday, especially with Sorba's suspension.
Smashing. Thanks very much for your time and good luck on Tuesday.
Cheers, Stu. Thank you.
We'll be back with Josh Koroma in a few.
Josh, you're right.
Jack, whenever you're ready.
Cool. Josh, good to speak with you. I'll just start by reflecting on Bristol City at the weekend. It probably wasn't the prettiest of games. I don't think the conditions particularly allowed for that. How did you find it?
Yeah, the conditions obviously weren't ideal, but I mean, December in Huddersfield, they never really are. But I think it's a point in the right direction. I think we should have won the game. I think we had chances to. I think it's over the past 4 games we haven't lost, but I think against Bristol was the best we've probably been on the ball. And it's just about turning them chances we're creating into goals now.
You've been speaking to your manager about some of those attacking chances. Do you feel like you are progressing in the right direction, particularly, I know he's mentioned a lot about the injuries, but getting bodies back like Danny Ward, for example?
Yeah, definitely. You can see what Wardy brings. We're getting a lot of people back off the injury table. Dell's come back. He's got 2 goals in his last 3, I think it is. So like we are getting bodies back, and it's just about keep creating chances, and eventually they'll start dropping for us.
As a forward player, do you get frustrated with games like that when, as you mentioned, there's chances there, perhaps not as many as you'd liked, but and you do come away with just the 1 point as opposed to the 3?
Yeah, definitely. As an attacker, you always look at yourself when you haven't scored or assisted or created as many chances as you would have liked. I'm very critical of myself about things like that. But I mean, as I said before, I think things will start dropping for us. They haven't at the moment. But I mean, if we keep the solid foundation we built defensively, I think the wins will start coming in.
On that point of being quite self-critical, how do you deal with that after a game? How long is it that you're sort of thinking about some of those chances before you do put it aside and think about the next game?
I think you reflect after the game, then especially in the championship games come thick and fast, so it's best to have a short memory about things like that. We'll go over the game today, and then after we've gone over the game, we'll be straight on to how we're going to play against Preston. So with games coming as fast as they do, especially over this period, I feel like it's better to have a short-term memory about things like that.
Is that why games like this are ideal, as you say in the Championship, when games come this quickly, because you can then sort of try and put those missed chances behind you that quick? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, if you ask anyone in football, if you lose or don't play well, the best thing you can do is get back out there. So, I mean, we got a point. Obviously, we would have liked to score more goals, create more chances, but we got a chance to put it right tomorrow.
Sort of touched on those injuries a second ago, and I guess that doesn't help with sort of gelling as an attacking group. We'll come on to sort of your individual positions in a few moments, because you've been sort of all over that front line. I was going to touch on Delano Bergzorg, who's obviously been a regular feature since he came in the summer. What's he like to play with? He seems quite the character, certainly from looking on the outside.
Yeah, everyone loves Del in the changing room. I think everyone in the changing room, we're quite a tight, close-knit group. And I mean, Del's an exceptional player. He's scoring goals at the moment. Long may it continue. And I think if he keeps playing how he's playing, he'll keep scoring goals.
What's he like off the pitch as well? We obviously see him on it, and he seems, in a way, sort of similar to you. He's got that pace, he's got a bit of trickiness about him. What's he like off the field?
Yeah, he's funny off the field. Obviously, come from abroad, so it's not easy for him. But I mean, he's gelled with the team exceptionally well. Spends a lot of time with the likes of me, Sorba, Reg. But yeah, everyone in the changing room loves Del. He's quite loud, funny, yeah, quite outspoken.
We mentioned it to your manager a few moments ago. Is he one of those sort of unpredictable players in a way? And similar to yourself, I mentioned he's quite tricky and can sort of create something out of nothing at times.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's definitely one of the players you want to get on the ball all the time, because more time he's going to create chances out of. The more he gets the ball, the more chances he's going to create. So I mean, yeah, you just try and feed him the ball as much as possible.
On yourself, how have you found this season? Because with those injuries, you've, as I mentioned, sort of ended up in almost every position in that attacking line. As a centre forward at times, coming off both wings. How have you found that? Has it been difficult to sort of adapt, or are you used to it?
No, I've played across the front three since I've started playing football. I've played wing back a few times, which that is new to me. But obviously, any time on the pitch, you just want to play. So I mean, whether it's at wing back, up front, left wing, right wing, as long as I'm on the field, I'm happy.
You mentioned playing wing back. How have you found it adapting to a different position like that when it is so new to you?
It's never easy adapting to a new position, but of course, the more I play there, the more I'll learn. And I mean, obviously, defensively, I'm trying to improve. So, the playing wing back, the gaffer obviously wants to attack, but we have to build the foundation because of where we are in the table. But we haven't conceded many goals over the past few games, so just long may it continue.
What are some of the intricacies of playing that position that you've sort of had to pick up, and who in the team have you been speaking to try and pick up a bit more information?
It's not as much speaking to people. I've got 3 giant centre-halves that shout at me constantly when I'm playing there, so that does make it a lot easier. And I think the hardest thing is the actual positioning, like when the ball's in a certain area where you have to be. But again, as I said, the more I play there, the more I'll improve on it.
You mentioned your manager there. He's been in the building for a couple of months now. How are you finding working under him?
As soon as he come in, he said he's an attacking coach. He wants to get forward. But of course, we conceded quite a few goals in his first few games. So then it was just about building that foundation defensively. And I think we've done that now. We've done a lot of work, especially over international breaks, on how we can defend better and be harder to beat. And I think we've got that now. And now it's just about building. We're constantly working on attacking patterns, how to get more chances, how to get better possession in games. But since he's come in, I haven't got a bad word to say about him.
What has he asked you individually to do differently to what the previous manager was asking of you?
Not much really. Obviously, he saw me play under the previous manager before I was good under him, so he wants me to do more of the same. I mean, they got different styles of play, but as me individually as a player, he wants me to keep trying to get on the ball as much as possible and trying to make things happen, really.
How do you adapt to a new coach like that? I know you've had a fair few managers during your time with Huddersfield Town. How do you adapt to sort of a new coaching style? Someone who comes in and even off the field, you know, when you're at training during the day, during the week, is a bit different.
I think as footballers, you kind of know that a lot of things in football are not for long periods of time, so you kind of just learn to adapt to things and take things in your stride. I mean, after a few weeks, you get used to the way he wants you to train, the way his schedules work, and the way he wants you to play. So, the change for me specifically isn't that drastic. As you said, I've played under a lot of managers, so it's just all about learning and taking things from different managers.
And just finally, for me, Josh, Preston tomorrow, what are you expecting them to throw at you from what you've seen of them this season?
From this season, I know they started the season very well, dropped off a bit since then, but obviously no game in the champ is easy, as everyone knows. And I expect them to be strong, physical, good outfit, try and get the ball forward, try and get it into their front. It's just about how we can deal with them and then obviously attack back at them and try and get the win, really.
I know you won't underestimate them, but they've been pretty leaky this season defensively. I think they've conceded the most out of the top 10 at the minute. And does that excite you almost more as an attacker that, you know, given their record this season, there might be more opportunities there?
I don't really like to look at stats from previous games who teams have been playing because every team plays different, every team is different. So we'll look at their strengths and weaknesses and we'll prep for the game appropriately.
Cheers, Josh. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Just come to Stephen in the room.
Hi Josh, I think we're sort of used to seeing you coming off the left, but I think more recently we've seen you on the right. Dal also likes going on the left. Do you feel like you offer something different on that right hand side?
Obviously it's 2 different positions. One, you're coming in on your strong foot. One, you're coming in on your weaker foot, and I'm a player that likes to come inside the pitch. I don't mind going outside, but it's not really what one of my strengths are. I need to get better at it as a player. I need to work on my weaker foot when coming inside. It is two different positions. I think I am stronger, obviously, playing on the left, but as I said before, it's something I can learn, get better at. It's just about improving.
I guess it forces you to look more creatively, doesn't it, when you're going on the outside, as opposed to cutting in?
Yeah, definitely. When you're going on the outside, it's more about creating chances for others, getting crosses in the box, especially being on my strong foot, trying to cross on my right foot. And with strikers like Woody coming back, I'm sure Cal will be back soon. Going along the outside will benefit us because they're both very good in the box.
Yeah, and you've mentioned sort of getting used to playing wing back, but we know that sort of that we were talking earlier, that skill set between a forward and a fullback is getting narrower and narrower. It used to be a gulf. Yeah. Now there's a lot of similarities, a lot of attributes that you can use, aren't there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you look at fullbacks like Trent, Reece James, how good they are on the ball. They're better than a lot of wingers on the ball, really. Cancelos, people like that. There is a lot of skill sets, especially when you're an attacking team as fullback. You get to get up the pitch a lot. But I mean, it's still defensively, you got to be so switched on, like things like getting up with the line and stuff like that, which is what I'm trying to get better at now.
Yeah, I think we've sort of noticed the last sort of year or so since you've come back in January, that defensive side there's been a big improvement from you, which is great to see. Was there sort of a moment maybe where you've realised, I need to do a bit more of this?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when Warnock came in, the first thing he said to me was, I need to learn how to defend or I'm not going to play. And that's something I've tried to add to my game, and I've found that especially with Town fans, if on the ball you ain't playing great, if you obviously run around, work hard, they're very forgiving with things like that, and it's something that can bring your performance from a mediocre performance to actually playing quite well if you work hard off the ball and do your defensive duties. And then I believe if you work hard, the attacking things will fall into place. And
not just fall into place, but can actually, as we saw on Saturday, Cass wins that ball doing a bit of defending in his own half and gets an assist, you score a goal out of it. It shows you can turn defence into attack so quickly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you work hard, you're going to get chances. If you run around, you're going to get chances just pure off work rate. Football gods will obviously reward you for that. Like Cass defensively is so good, and I think he does a lot going forward, and you got to see the best of him against Bristol.
I think everyone's sort of looking at the bottom three, but when Darren first came in, he said to us he wants to get you all looking up the table and not looking at what's below you. It's very congested. You're level on points with a couple of sides now. Do you see that as an opportunity as a group to rise up the table now?
Personally, I don't like looking at the league. I like focusing on what we're doing. And I mean, if we win games, we won't have to worry about who's below us or who's above us. It's just about us climbing the table. And I mean, yeah, there is a few teams on the same point, so if we win tomorrow and results go for us, you'll see us climb the table and then things won't look so bad.
So for me, best luck for tomorrow.
Cheers. Cheers, Steve. And if we just come to Stu finally.
Hello, Josh. How are you doing?
All right.
Just from what you've been saying and the way things have been with injuries, particularly, do you feel like it's been a bit of this last spell of the season where you just had to sacrifice yourself a bit for the team?
I don't think it's sacrifice because there's players that have been on the bench that can play wing back, so I think it's the gaffer putting his trust in me to go and play there, and I'm happy to do so as long as I'm on the pitch.
But I mean, it seems like just because of where you are as a club, the manager's not really been able to sort of give all you attacking players free rein. Do you think things will start to loosen up a bit now he's got more options with Danny and Dell being back, and you can maybe be more attacking as a team, having had to lay this foundation that you were talking about?
Yeah, definitely. As I said before, there was a period where we conceded quite a lot of goals, and that's when he's kind of said to us, no, we need to build a solid foundation and be hard to beat, and I think we've shown we are that now. And now, as I said, we're working hard on how we can get more possession, gain more chances in games, and as long as we stick to the work, stick to the plans, I'm sure the attacking play will fall into place.
And I mean, the manager's been here about 3 months now. Can you see some of the things he's been doing starting to fall into place, and is it coming together, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. If you look at his first few games compared to the last 3 or 4, you'll see like our chances per game are going up. I think against Bristol, our possession was better. We were better on the ball. Even when we was trying to play out from the back, I don't think we gave it away as much. When we won it back, I think we was positive. So yeah, definitely I can see his patterns of play coming into play, and the way he wants us to play.
I mean, obviously when Warnock came in when he did, I guess he had to sort of hit the ground running quite quickly. But even then, it took you about 6 or 7 games, didn't really, before it clicked. Do you feel with Darren as though it's a bit of a longer process, but sort of designed to be quite long lasting?
Yeah, the club said when the gaffer came in that it's a process. It's a process everyone in the changing room is bought into, everyone in the changing room believes in, and it's just about we got to keep believing in it no matter if things are going to be up and down, because things are always up and down in football. So as long as we keep believing in the process, I'm sure we'll start to see us climb the table.
And you talked about the football gods paying you back for work. Do you feel as though all the work you put in 2023, all that defensive work, learning different positions, is really going to pay dividends for you personally next year?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the more positions you can play, the more chance you have of actually getting on the pitch, because different formations, different coaching styles. If you can play multiple positions and do multiple things defensively and going forward, you have more chance of getting on the pitch, and that's all I want to do is play games.
And obviously, the flip side of that, having more attacking players fit means more competition for your place. But do you feel like it's better for you because now with Danny and Dell and the different ways they've played, you've got more players to play off, more options to look for when you're on the ball, that sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love everyone in our changing room. Definitely competitions for places are high because everyone's coming back from injury. You see the likes of even Rudy hopefully be back soon. And yeah, competition for places is always healthy in the changing room. It drives the people in the starting 11 to keep playing well, and it drives the people on the bench to when they come on to try and make an impact. And I think that's the best thing you can have at a football club.
Great. Thanks very much for your time, Josh.
Thank you.
Perfect. Cheers, Stu. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.